Hey everyone, welcome into Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, and I have my two co-hosts, Burley and Carl, and we're going to discuss Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. So this is our review of Season 2 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So if you have not watched all the episodes yet, you might want to go watch them over on Paramount Plus before checking out this video, because they're going to be spoilers throughout as we discuss the season. So that's your spoiler warning. So please go and check out the episodes if you have not seen them already. So anyway, that's with that said, it's time to get into it, guys. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and play the slideshow, and the slideshow is for the entire season. So from the first episode all the way through the 10th episode. So as that's rolling, we can talk about any particular episode, but yeah, I'll just throw it out there right away, guys. Do you think season 2 is on par with the first season or better? What do you think?
It's definitely on par, in my opinion.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
I could say that they made some improvements in the areas of certain characters, trying to develop them, give them more story, give them their moments and make them a bit more unique, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise it was similar. It had its ups and downs. Like, there's a bunch of episodes I really love. There's probably a few episodes where I'm like, meh, they're fine. They're not bad, but they're not, they didn't really wow me. Same thing with the first season.
Yeah. Burley?
Yeah. For the most part, this is definitely on par. I don't think it was better. There were better moments in season 2, but there were some moments in season 2 that I think weren't as good. The whole Berserker from the first episode.
Oh, the serum,
that
the green serum, yeah,
the Berserker serum, whatever.
That first episode, I was not into it.
The broken serum. Yeah.
I didn't mind the first episode. I just that scenes and stuff like that, just like that lowered it a bit. But there's stuff in this season, like you do the whole trial for number 1. You get her and the trial's done, and you think, okay, we've done this. Let's do more with her character throughout the season. They kind of don't. It was kind of like, that was something I was really looking forward to after. What are they going to do with her character? What are they going to do with their character? They do nothing and just have her be the same role, and you get little things with certain characters with her interacting for like one scene here or there. But I was hoping for more.
Yeah. She's opening up a bit more, but yeah, she hasn't really come out as a character too much.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I kind of feel that Rebecca Romijn isn't great. I don't think she's bad, but there's just something that I don't know. I'm not getting the character so much out of the performance.
Yeah. I just want to go back to the green serum, the Berserker serum, as you guys are calling it. Of course, Under the Cloak of War, the 8th episode, I think it was, when you see some of the Klingon War, and you see how, of course, M'Benga is the person who created this serum, basically. So we get kind of a backstory of that Berserker serum. We don't really know what it is in the first episode when the M'Benga and Chapel use it. We're like, what the heck is this stuff?
It feels like a whole load of nonsense in the first episode.
Like, are they going to turn into Hulks or something? But we got the backstory later on in the season. But I just want to go back and when it comes to season 2 as a whole, I think it's better than the first season. And I think one of the reasons why I feel this way is because they took some risks in this season, particularly with Subspace Rhapsody. I mean, the musical episode was something that we did not see that coming. And there are some people that had mixed feelings about it. There were a lot of Star Trek fans that were like, the hell with this. When they start singing, I'm turning away. But then there were some people like myself, which I like musicals. And so I thought it was really cool to put this into a science fiction type of show and to take that risk. And I think that's what they did with the season. And when it comes to character, and the growth of characters, you see a lot of growth in Uhura throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Instead of being just a cadet, now she's actually in Starfleet. She's an ensign, and she's growing from the lessons that she learned from Hemmer. And then, of course, Spock in that episode when he loses his Vulcan side and he just is completely human and having to deal charades, exactly, and having to deal with the fact that, oh my God, I might never have my Vulcan side again. And how do I deal with being a human? I've never had this situation where I've had to deal with this many emotions and like putting the ski cap on his head and everything to cover the ears.
That's and hilarious.
I mean that was so funny.
Out laughing there.
Yeah, and then when he goes in there after Topring's like mother is like ripping on him, and then he goes, I have to go to the bathroom, and then he goes in there and just starts and then he yells exactly just completely goes off. So I mean that character growth. And then, of course, the episode with the Lower Decks crossover. I mean, and seeing them in animated form as well. That was so incredible. So I think, this season eclipsed the first season in a lot of ways. So your guys' thoughts. Yeah, go ahead.
So you bring up that Spock episode, one of my favorites this season, and it mirrors one of my favorites from the previous season, which was the one where him and Topring body swap.
Yeah.
And I love that episode. They absolutely nail Spock in this show. He is one of the best and most fun characters to watch in this show.
And Ethan Peck, I mean, amazing actor. He's a great guy. Yeah.
But I also love the guy playing Kirk.
Paul Wesley, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And another one of my favorites this season was the third episode, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Right, with La'an, yes.
Yeah, because a strong showing for La'an as well. I liked her in the first season, but she didn't get to come out of her shell. She was very specific, this sort of like straight-laced security guard person. But they did have that one episode last season where they were in like a sort of fairy tale. Remember that one?
Yeah, fairy tale episode, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she was just like really different character, and I was like, okay, this actor, she's interesting. Like I want to see her get to do something more. And this episode was a great episode to focus on her, and it was one of those like a classic Trek episode where like one particular character gets stuck in something, and it's just about them for the most part, and there's a B story with the other characters. I like those. Everyone, as long as it's a character I enjoy, sometimes that could be a problem if you don't like the character.
Yeah.
Oh, that was easily one of the best episodes in the season, if not the best episode. Like you said, they've nailed Spock.
And
great casting. Kirk, they've got Kirk down, and it was nice that you got him. You got him just enough in this season. Like you got him in, I think it was like 3 episodes. So you get him. Yeah. You get him every couple of episodes. You've got him doing his thing.
I love the relationship and tension they built up with him and La'an, because she had that experience with the other version of him, and then now she's building a sort of different relationship with this one. And then we find out that his secret that he's like got a baby on the way with some other woman. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah.
Well, we get the reveal of Carol Marcus for the first time in Strange New Worlds, as he mentions her. But not
Baby
only
David coming soon.
Not only the relationship between Kirk and La'an, but the relationship between Kirk and his brother, like with Sam. It's interesting how Sam is quite jealous of Kirk's, of Jim's rise, and he's trying to, hide behind the fact that, hey, I'm on the Enterprise, you're on that lowly Farragut ship over there, you know. but you know, it's going to get to a point, you know, where, you know, Kirk is going to obviously become the captain of the Enterprise, but then, you know, will we see, you know, the death of Sam Kirk? So spoilers if you haven't seen the original series, but I mean, you know, he's gonna, you know, eat it. He's gonna die at some point. But how much more of that relationship do we see? Except for them talking at the bar about their father and the, you know, just the competitive nature of the both of them. That's what I'm interested to see.
Yeah, no, I think they'll do a good bit more before something like that.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. You know, I talked to my friend who's like really, really into Star Trek, and he's like, "Yeah, the show is very faithful canonically to the previous stuff, which is a cool choice. I kind of would like to see them just at some point be like, yeah, we don't have to be 100%, but it is also a cool choice to be like, now this still fits in to that universe, so I'm okay with them doing that.
Yeah. The one negative I have to say here, tomorrow. I mean, I love the episode and all, but can we stop with like the Khan references and just, you know, put that aside, you know, with Khan and just move forward? I mean, it seems like, yeah.
But I like how they touched upon the concept more, at least. You know, like, we don't know too much about the story behind that, right? I mean, there's other stuff in previous things, but in this particular show, they reference Khan every once in a while, and this is an example where they actually give you more context. So,
well, with the eugenics war and all, yes, of course, yeah, but yeah. So
yeah, but I'm still I'm done with Khan. Every Star Trek show
I don't think the show is done with it, so you're stuck with it, Burley.
Yeah, no, but like every Star Trek show they've put out in the last couple of years. Okay, we got to have a Khan reference every season, and it's just getting like that. That's one thing. Like, I get it. This show uses it well. Actually uses it, unlike the other shows where it's like, we got a name drop, we got to have that in the bingo card sheet. Like, I could go with season 3. If they did not mention Khan once, I would be a happy camper.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, you have La'an, who is directly related as a main character, so like, it's gonna come up, right? It has to.
Yeah. How did you feel? Oh, go ahead, Carl.
I was going to say, since I haven't talked to you guys about this stuff very much, and we've gotten to this point where we're 13 minutes into this. Yeah. No one has mentioned the finale. So
we are going to mention it later.
Does that mean what I think, or at least lines up with a little bit of what I thought, is that episode wasn't good, but I liked Scotty.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to that.
To bring up Scotty, because he does come in the finale. Yeah, Scotty, I think they nailed him. I think they nailed Scotty very well. I didn't expect to see him in the finale, but his just appearance coming in and all the stuff and all the techno babble he's going into, and then him with I forget the engineer on the Enterprise. I forget her name.
Pelia.
Pelia. Their reactions and working together. My best student, but also my worst student.
Yeah, so let's talk about Pelia a little bit. So how do you feel about her character replacing the actor who played Hemmer? Because obviously, you know, Hemmer doesn't make it through the end of season 1. So, I mean, how did you feel about the addition of Pelia? Obviously, she was an instructor at the academy, and then she wants to get out of that because she's so bored being a teacher, and then she gets in the first episode a chance to hitch a ride basically on the Enterprise and then become the engineer. So what did you think of her addition this year?
So of course I still like Hammer better. I thought he was a far more interesting character.
He was in Subspace Rhapsody, though, Carl.
Yeah.
He was the Klingon. Yeah.
I like the... Yeah. I don't dislike her. Like I think she's a good character. She's interesting enough. I like that they've made
Carol
her.
Kane, yeah. So,
they've given her an interesting aspect that she's this alien that lives like a really long time.
Yeah.
And I really liked in again tomorrow where they go to her expecting her to like know something, and she's like, I don't know, just some weird, crazy, like, you know,
I just own this. Person. I just have this shop. Yeah.
So that was great. I really enjoyed that, and how that's her character. She became an engineer because she was, I don't know, bored and interested because of whatever in that episode, and then she's been an educator for a bunch of these characters, and so there's a small relationship tie-in, which is cool and interesting.
Yeah.
I forget what I was going to say with her. She reminds me a lot of Dr. Pulaski, and not just because of the obvious reason, right? Because they're just like, you know, an old white woman, but in the aspect of like she's a replacement character, and I like her. She's different from the character she's replacing, but I still like that character. A lot of times you get a character that you like replaced, and you're like, I don't want to like it because it's not as good as. But she's come into her own, and I think she has a different, interesting spot. I don't need like a lot of her, but I like when, you know, her little quirkiness comes in. It's fine.
Yeah. Burley, what did you think of Palia?
She was good, but there is no replacing Hemmer with her. Like, at least they didn't, you know, just put like a Hemmer-like character in there. So I will give them on that. She's fine. She did the role well and all that. Just how do I word this? I would have preferred what we got with Scotty at the end. I would have rather have had Scotty for the season than had her. But she was fine. But who's to say how much she'll be in season 3?
Yeah. So what did you guys think of Among the Lotus Eaters, though? I mean, you know, going to Rigel 7. Obviously, this is going to play an important role later on as we get to, you know, the sequence with Pike later on. But I mean, just this was probably the least liked episode for me. I mean, you know, you get this guy Win here, and you know, he was a yeoman, and then he becomes like this king type of guy, and they lose their memories and all. I don't know. I thought it was kind of just a, you know, an episode where, they lose their memories and all, but they get it back, and they're able to, you know, stop this guy and then take him back to Starfleet, and that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I liked this episode in that it felt very much like a classic original series Star Trek episode.
Okay.
And it was interesting. It was like, all right, you get around this planet, you're stuck there, and there's this weird society, and you're trying to figure out what the hell, why.
Yeah.
And then it ties back into the crew previously, this guy who was on the crew that they know, I like that story. That character he was mad because he got left behind, and you know, and then they tie it into this relationship stuff with Pike. That was sort of pivotal for him to sort of realize he wants to be with her. I forgot her
Pike
name.
And Battelle, Captain Battelle.
Yeah, and I love the building of their relationship throughout the season.
Yeah,
it was very good.
And as we get to the final episode, that's going to be interesting. Yeah,
so I did enjoy that one, and I kind of liked that character, the Asian guy. I kind of wanted. I was like, wouldn't it be good if he came back and he was just like, they put me on the crew for some reason somehow, you know, he's rehabilitated, they took him back.
Yeah. And here we're getting into charades now, the Spock episode, and I mean, just the relationship with Spock and Chapel as it's grown. As it started in the first season, and then it got more intense here in the second season. I really enjoyed that a lot, and especially in this episode where, Chapel comes and gives him the serum at the end of the episode, and as she's leaving, she's about to start crying because she enjoyed having him as a full human for a bit of a time, but knew that the right thing to do was to give him his Vulcan side back. The situation throughout the episode of Topring's parents and their discrimination and all, and how that played out. I thought it was a great episode.
It was fantastically written. It's funny, it's witty. There's great emotional beats. It's an incredible episode.
What is it? What is that amazing smell? I mean, like he's in there in Pike's kitchen, the bacon and everything.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
Slow down. Why? It's so good.
I do kind of want this whole Chapel Spock thing to be over. It might be, which is fine because it's not. I don't dislike it, but it feels wrong, and for some reason, like their relationship just feels so wrong. Like they're wrong for each other, obviously. So like I don't really want that to continue. I actually liked him with Topring. I like every episode when the two of them are together. I think they play well off each other. Maybe it's the actors. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, later on, for those of you who've seen the original series, obviously, Nurse Chapel, she's supposed to be going on this, fellowship. And she meets a guy, the guy that runs the fellowship, I think it is. The name's not coming to me at the moment, but he's the one that I think ultimately Chapel marries.
Spoilers.
Yeah, so that's later on down the road. So if you've seen the original series, you know what I'm talking about. So, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this relationship with Spock and Chapel, goes as we get into season 3. So, and we'll be talking about that later on. But
does Topring exist in previous Star Trek lore? Okay.
Yes. So she's in the original series also.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
I'm not that familiar with it. Like I've watched reruns and stuff when I was younger, but I never really watched it as an adult. So maybe I should. But,
all of you can check out my latest video that I did here for Warp Factor 10 about characters that we might see introduced into season 3, because obviously at the end of the season in episode 10 in Hegemony we got Scotty, so most likely we'll get the character that runs the fellowship that Chapel is going to be going to. Maybe we might get him in season 3, as well as maybe Gary Mitchell, who's a friend of Kirk. We might get Sulu. I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, we're missing Sulu and Bones, right?
And Bones, yeah. So I don't know about Bones yet because Bones might, still play a role on the Farragut. I'm not sure, but I think we might get a Sulu spotting in season 3. We shall see, but
we got to get a whole Farragut episode.
Maybe.
I'm sure we're going to with where season 2 went in season 3, and they just announced they actually just cast Bones. It's a young upstart actor, Carl Urban.
We got to do you remember the episode of Next Generation where Riker is exchange officer on the Klingon ship? We got to do something like that where one of the officers from the Enterprise is on the Farragut for whatever reason. It's just the whole episode's on the Farragut.
Yeah.
With
Kirk is
B-story back on the Enterprise,
Yeah, because Kirk in this season, in the Subspace Rhapsody, he had come to the Enterprise to train with number 1. So maybe we'll get some of one of the Enterprise crew that has to go over to the Farragut or something. So,
wait, what's her name ship? Patel, is that her?
The Cayuga.
Yes. Cayuga, right? Which is gone now.
In episode 10, it gets obliterated. Yeah, so
I wonder what she's gonna where's she gonna go? What's gonna be her new ship, or is she gonna be not captain for some reason?
Is she gonna make it?
I think we danced around the finale long enough. I said,
let's talk about it. Yeah, I mean, we'll let the slideshow go, but I mean, we can talk about episode 10.
One thing I want to say, you just reminded me of is that I just up until now completely forgot that they left it off on some dumb cliffhanger and didn't finish the episode. I was like, fucking hell, I was so mad.
Yeah, but that's the way it goes, man.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of that in general with like shows like this because there's such a long gap until the next season.
Okay, well, before we get to episode 10, let's talk about the crossover episode because I want to talk a little bit about. Obviously, Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome did an excellent job as Boimler and Mariner. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to see the real life voice actors of Tendi and Rutherford as well. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get through the portal. But
next time.
I really, and I've said this many times before, I want a real live action Lower Decks show where you have the real actors. I think it would be awesome. I mean, it's probably never going to happen, but I would love to see that. And I loved in the episode where they did like the little cartoon spots at the end with the Strange New Worlds crew and all. I thought that was really
awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
because they were drinking that whatever it was.
Oh, from the Orions, yes. That
and they were all kind of like the implication was that like it's a mild hallucinogen, so they're like, everyone looks like a cartoon now. I love that. That was a great little bit.
Yeah.
So like because of that, it makes me think that maybe in Lower Decks they could do the opposite sort of crossover. Like they'll do some live action bit in that show once.
Yeah.
And then we get to see some of these other these actors. Are we going to see Jerry O'Connell as Ransom?
Yeah, we would have to. Yeah, we would have to. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see that, but but I loved the references to Enterprise in that episode. The NX-01 and how heronium alloy was used on the hulls of the NX-01. So we get those references to the Enterprise series that was really, really underrated. I mean, it was a really good show. I mean, it only lasted like a few seasons, but I mean, and there's some characters that could actually appear in Strange New Worlds, like T'Pol, who was the Vulcan science officer on Enterprise. I mean, she could still be alive. I mean, as a Vulcan, at the time of Strange New Worlds. So we might see her in an episode in the future. Maybe mentoring Spock or something. But I love the references. They were talking about the helmsman. Ortegas was talking about the helmsman and that his name was used for her middle school. I think it was her middle school gym was named after him. And Hoshi Sato, who was the linguist on the Enterprise, the NX-01 Enterprise, she was able to speak like 86 different languages, and Uhura had written like 3 papers on her at the Academy, and then they're like saying, "We're starting to sound like them." Pointing to, like Mariner and Boimler, and I loved it earlier in the episode when Boimler's like, this era is weird, and it's like Mariner's like, yeah, it's like they, it's like they speak so slowly.
It was a good moment to show that, like they're not that weird. The Lower Decks people, like, of course you would, idolize the people from the history,
Yeah, and the reference to Q, he's like, "Holy Q," and she's like, "Don't say that. They haven't met him yet." They've got kind of a Trelane thing going on right now, so it's like Trelane is mentioned, and all. I thought that was great.
So, don't worry, I won't tell you anymore. Worf's honor. Damn it.
Yeah, Worf's honor. Yeah,
it was so good. So many great little references. So many. The writing was so good. The characters were on point. Like they really felt like the characters from the show. They didn't tone them down at all. Obviously the antics were a little bit toned down, but they had some antics, which was fine, and I really enjoyed it. I like the part where Spock and the whole thing going on with Spock and Boimler. Like Spock is going through his emotion things, and Boimler's like, did I do this? Is it my fault? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Did I break Spock?
Yeah.
And that moment where they're trying to cook up that material. And
the heronium. Yeah, the heronium. Yeah. Yeah, and that scene in the turbo lift between him and Chapel, I think that's where you start to see kind of the breakdown of the relationship, because now Chapel is thinking maybe I shouldn't try to get him to act more human, because now I know, thanks to Boimler, that he's got a lot of stuff to accomplish from his Vulcan side, and I probably shouldn't get involved in that and get in the way of that, So that was an interesting part, But and then Mariner with Uhura, I thought that was pretty cool too. And I love like when they're sitting there in the conference room, and then like Mariner's like lying about having linguistics experience, and it's like Boyle like, you have linguistics experience? It's like he's like, but shut up. I want to meet Uhura. if I don't get this chance, I will end your life. I love that part. That was so good.
Yeah.
I like the thing with Tendi in the beginning, where she's like, "No, it was the Orions who discovered this thing." And he's like, "I don't think so." And then when you find out later, like why she thinks that, like, "Oh yeah, this is great." And they had a little like neat bow on that.
Yeah, and it's like the Orion ship, It's like Boimler's like, "Oh, that's definitely an Orion ship. I made one in a bottle once,
Yeah. Like, it's an Orion science vessel, and he's like, "What?" Pike's like, "What do you mean? They don't have science vessels."
Do they have science vessels? Yeah. And he's like, "Well, it's kind of like in my time. It's like, it's kind of, it's bad to assume that all Orions are pirates."
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was great. Yeah. So yeah, such a great episode. But okay, let's talk about the final episode. Boy, oh boy. I mean, the thing I loved about it so much is we finally, and I had been talking about it even before the season started with Burley, and as we were doing some of the stuff for Warp Factor 10, and I was like, we got to see a fully adult-sized Gorn in this season. When that Gorn episode does come, we're gonna see a fully grown Gorn, and boy, oh boy, we saw one. Yeah, and I mean, that thing was a monster, and it's like, all the alien vibes, it's like the tail coming down and everything, and then he whips that tail around to knock the phaser out of Spock's hand, and then he just like wraps that tail around Spock, and then obviously, Chapel comes and saves the day and is able to phase him in the shoulder, and then Spock gets the piece of the rail off and cracks open the headpiece, and he floats into space dead. But boy, oh boy, that thing was a monster. What were your thoughts on that adult Gorn?
See, my problem with that sequence is that they made Chapel the lone survivor on the ship.
Yeah.
And then Spock shows up, and I'm like, all right, well, there's zero tension here because these characters can't die.
Yeah, they've got plot armor, obviously.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, come on. It doesn't even make sense that she's the only person alive on the ship. So, like, you should have had a couple of red shirts here. Put someone else in there that, like, you get maybe a little bit of attached to or you feel for, and then they get horribly murdered by the Gorn. Like, you gotta give me something else. This episode, I don't like the Gorn. Every time they do it, I don't like it. It's not working for me.
Would it be better for you if they got the original Halloween costume, brought that?
Probably, because then they would have had fun with it. It would have just been fun. They would have like made it like sort of like a silly inside joke thing, or people in the know. True. And they wouldn't have made it like a major thing where like the Gorn, like I just don't believe these things have spaceships and science and like culture. I don't believe it because they haven't presented it in any way.
That's the one little pet peeve I have about them. It's like they're like monsters, and Pike refers to them as monsters to the Admiral. but I mean, but then they have these ships that can travel warp speed and all. And how did they get that technology? And how do they have that kind of knowledge and intelligence? We see them.
They strong arm the Ferengi.
Oh God.
It doesn't make any sense. There's that race that showed up in Lower Decks, I think, right? The ones who like are kind of dumb and they don't really know stuff, but they like trick other people and try to steal their technology.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
They were in one of, was it TNG or was it Deep Space Nine? I don't remember. There was
TNG,
one of them.
I believe.
And then they showed up in Lower Decks, and there was a whole like little plot with their planet and something. One of the episodes, like that. I could sort of buy that, but like I don't know. They just seem like monsters. Like they're laying eggs in people, and the babies are going out and murdering stuff. I'm like, so at what point does this baby, this murdery baby, become like a thing that talks and like goes to school and gets educated, learns science, and becomes a doctor?
They evolve, and they must evolve in a different way than we do, I guess.
I mean, you could, but you're not selling it, right? You're not giving me that idea.
Yeah.
Like they don't
maybe we'll find out more about that in season 3. I don't know, because how they talked about how they respond to the solar flares and the light and all. I mean, that might be something. Yeah.
Stupid. Right? Because like, are they just animals then? We could be distracted by lights.
Yeah, the like swarms of like locusts, like sense. Sam was saying. Yeah. So,
which one are they, man? Which one? The animal, are they monster, or are they sentient life form? Like
I guess both, and we don't understand. We can't comprehend how they could be both. I guess so. We're seeing these images, of course. I love the episode here with Kirk and kind of mentoring and helping and supporting Uhura, but I just want to say about Uhura. I mean, I think the actress is amazing. I think she's got a great voice. I mean, she had a really, really good piece in the Subspace Rhapsody. But I mean, it seemed like throughout this whole season, she had some kind of theory that ended up, helping the Enterprise, save everybody. It's like, I mean, is she that good? Is she that smart? I mean,
they were building her up a lot like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just I really like her character, and I like how she's grown in season 2. But I mean, it was almost like, I love that zombie hammer there. That was awesome. Yeah. But I mean, it was always like, I have a theory, and it always came out to save the day.
Yeah, they put way too much focus on her, and it's to the detriment of other characters. I would love to see, some of the stuff she comes up with and stuff. Why couldn't number 1 come up with it? Why couldn't some other characters give them some great moments?
Yeah,
like, and give some shine. Take a little bit of less attention off her and put it on the other characters.
Yeah. And then we see here the back and forth between number 1 and Palia. I love that. I mean, that scene where they're on the rig, and number 1 is like, you've been in Starfleet for like over 100 years, but I outrank you. I'm just kind of like, I mean, if I was Palia, I would have just like, I would have gave her the bird, man. In that instance, I don't care if I'm insubordinate or not. You're gonna talk to me that way. It's like, because she's like telling her, it's like, you deserved that grade. You didn't get an A in this. You deserved it. And your guys' thoughts? Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
Didn't
bother me.
But it didn't bother me as much. But like, I do get where you're going with. Yeah. But this is Starfleet. They're supposed to, they're trained not to always go with your emotion on stuff like that. So
yeah.
I get
it was
that.
harsh. I get it.
But she's all the like free as a bird, kind of like the hippie mentality of he just doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this part in the crossover episode with the communicator, and they're like saying, "Oh, I like the communicators that flip open and stuff."
Yeah.
It's like,
I do like that they pulled off his hair being purple. It's like, it's
oh
like
yeah.
It's dyed. It's not like as obvious and bright, but it didn't look absurd,
Yeah.
And is Ortegas growing on either of you?
No,
she's a hell of a pilot. I mean,
that's it. That's her character.
I mean, yeah, pretty much so far. I mean, we haven't really gotten any kind of character building when it comes to focusing on her as the main, part of the episode. I mean, she's just like a side character, and she's a hell of a pilot, and she's got them out of some sticky situations and all. But other than that, I mean, she's like a friend to Chapel and to Uhura in the bar, in this episode, of course, joking with Boimler, making fun of him, but yeah.
I could say I didn't dislike her as much this time around, because at least they gave her that one aspect of like, I want to go on an away mission and I never get to. I'm always getting left out, and then she finally got to, like, in the end, and then boy, was that a tough one.
Well, they still keep her a little too jokey. She's still it just seems like we gotta have a jokey character. Just make that Ortegas, and like I think like the only one really like growth kind of moment she gets in the whole season's at the end when she comes up with the plan to go onto that planet to rescue the people of her. If we guide the ship like this, we'll be floating through, and they'll think we're just floating wreckage from the Cayuga and all that. And it's like, that's actually really smart and all that. And that was like her, that was her growth. Then they land, and then they just, she barely gets any speaking lines after that. It's like, okay, there's your speaking equivalent for the episode. You're done.
And when Boimler was like, "Oh, you're a war hero or something," and I was like, I groaned. I was like, really?
Well, due to the Klingon wars, I guess. Yeah, but
I was like, I guess something's gonna. All right, great.
Yeah. Now, let's go to that episode with the Klingon ambassador. Now, at the end of that episode, now M'Benga, stabs him, kills him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But did the Klingon actually start the fight? I mean, we don't really see that because everything is kind of blurred, from the back of the wall there. So I mean, was it M'Benga that just started it and took him out, or did the Klingon ambassador truly start the fight? Because M'Benga is telling Pike, I didn't start the fight, but I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah. I'm far more intrigued by M'Benga being the one who just straight up murdered him.
Yeah.
Like, got into the fight and didn't care about ending it that way. And they set that up well for that to be true because of the history, and also because of the Klingon guy. You find out that he's a fraud, and like, I don't buy that he would even try that, because I think he would realize that M'Benga would just kill him, and he did. So I want that to, like, it's a more interesting character moment to deal with later, that he straight up lied, to Pike, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of playing it that he killed him. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they go for in season 3, because I'm hoping they bring up this plot point with season 3, because like you said, there is an investigation going on for this.
Mm-hmm. An inquiry.
An inquiry. Yeah. So I'm hoping we get something with this, because it was an interesting episode, but at the same point, this was one of the ones I was like, this is one I don't ever have to rewatch this episode.
Well, we do get a sense of the horrific nature of the ground battles in the war with the Federation and the Klingon Empire. I mean, so, and we don't really see that. I mean, this is kind of like our firsthand look at it in a sense, and the how the medical corps had to face certain situations, like the one guy that he was his guts was just hanging out of him, and they suspended him in the transporter. But then later in the episode, they had to let his pattern degrade and go, because they needed to bring erase it to bring
delete
delete him, because they needed to bring the other wounded in, so the moral consequences there, I mean, was interesting to see, and then the Andorian, I was just gonna say, the Andorian guy pleading with M'Benga to give us some of that serum, because it would be an advantage for us, and M'Benga's like, no, I'm not gonna do it, man.
Yeah, I wasn't so thrilled with the war stuff in the past, how some of it just felt weird to me, but it was a good setup and for the main story of that episode of the Klingon character and M'Benga and their past and their clash in the episode and what it led up to in the end. So it did have a good payoff.
Yeah, and with also with with Ortegas too, because how and with Chapel. I mean, how they presented themselves during the dinner, and Chapel she takes off, and then M'Benga goes after her, but Ortegas is there. It's like, she's trying to play nice, but then afterwards she just couldn't hold it in any longer. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So
I'm also very happy to see, original recipe. Well, maybe not original, but TNG and On recipe Klingon back.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I love this part of the crossover episode. This is my favorite scene when Pike's talking about his father, and then Boimler just comes and says that what about all the other crew that's on the ship that would have wanted to spend an extra day with you, when it came to his birthday, to Pike's birthday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. That was a good part of the episode. So yeah, and then of course finding the Heronium. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So.
Great. Yeah, it was fun. The way it resolved was good. That episode was just incredible.
Yeah,
I loved it so much.
And how they kind of mixed Ad Astra per Aspera into the episode, that was the title of the second episode, into the crossover episode, with number one being the poster woman for Starfleet. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty cool. So, and I love this scene with the guy, with the Orion guy, and it's like, he says, we have a friend in Starfleet, and her name is, she goes by like Mistress of the Winter Stars or something like that. And he's like, how do you know that name? And it's like, well, we were telling you, we have a friend that's in Starfleet. We're from the future. It's like he doesn't listen.
Yeah,
I love that part. Yeah. So, and then when they get back, of course, she's like, it's like, yeah, my grandmother, yeah, she discovered it. Oh, her name, Astria, right? And she's like, oh, how did you know? And it's like, you see if you look at Boimler and Mariner's face, they like look at each other and smile. Yeah, so there you go. Ad Astra per Aspera. Yeah. Join Starfleet. Yeah.
I want to mention talk a little bit about the musical episode.
Yeah.
Because that first song to set up the episode was so good. It was so incredible. Yeah. I was smiling so much once
chamber
when the credits, like when the intro played, I was like still smiling until I'm like, that was so good. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then the other moment that I wanted to bring up was later on when they had the Klingons. Hilarious, song and dance number with the Klingons.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And they were like, later they're like, they were talking about how like this is our shame and embarrassment, and we don't care, we just want to destroy this thing.
Yeah.
And then you see why.
Yeah. Yeah, and that the general there was the actor who played Hemmer. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, that was good stuff. Yeah. The musical numbers were good. So like Chapel singing, I'm ready. That was pretty good.
Good, yeah.
And Uhura, singing as well. So and La'an, La'an is actually Christina Chong. She's actually a singer too. She has an album out now as well. So yeah.
I kind of felt that made sense. Spock had a good one too. His sort of solo one.
Oh, I'm the X.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I really enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no one but myself to blame. Yeah, that was really good.
It's a good one. Yeah.
So good. But okay, let's go back to the final episode one more time and speculate on what's going to happen in season 3, because you get those new weapons, the new toys. You get the nitrogen grenades. You get the new blasters that can take out the younglings and things like that. So, and at the end of that episode, when you see, at first it was interesting because I thought that they were all being beamed to the Enterprise. I had no idea that they were going to come up and say, oh, the ones that were still on the planet, they got beamed up by the Gorn, onto the Gorn ships. Yeah. But when they got beamed up, if you look at La'an and some of the others, they had those weapons, those new weapons. So I'm wondering if on whatever ship they got transported onto, are they going to try to take it over, and try to, to kill most of the Gorn on that ship with those weapons? What do you think? Guys?
You want to go on that one?
Yeah.
You don't want to hear what I...
Yeah. No. Let's hear what you think first, actually, Carl.
All right, here we go. Ready? It'll be quick, okay? I wanted to resolve and move on to episode 2. Okay? I have really zero interest in how that plays out. I just want to get past it.
Yeah.
And I also don't want any of the characters I'd like to die, so please.
Well, I think most of the characters have plot armor, so I think most will survive. There are going to be deads, your random red shirt guys and all that are going to die.
I think Batel's going to die.
There's a risk, and I don't want that. I like her.
Yeah, I like her too, but I mean, if they stick with canon, she has no future relationship with Pike, because when Pike goes to Rigel 7, he ends up, in the menagerie, he ends up with that other woman. Yeah. So, I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, I think they're going to kill her off.
Oh, she's dead. They use the thing at the end of the episode. Can you save her? Maybe.
Yeah, they put up the force field.
They did that as a wait for us next season. Wink, wink. We're gonna hold you and torture you to. But she ain't surviving this. If they can't get the eggs out of her, what they may do is just have her go on that ship, and she carries a bunch of those nitrogen grenades strapped to her and just.
Burley. That I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna be that graphic. Yeah. I mean, well, the force field's up, but as you saw at the end of the episode, you had like 3 or 4 hunter ships firing on the Enterprise, and you had like a destroyer. So their power is probably going to go out at some point, and that force field's coming down, which means those eggs are going to hatch when the force field comes down, and then there's going to be some havoc. Because they're going to have some little monsters running around like they did in the season 1, episode 9. So I don't know, man. I think they're going to make it interesting in some way. But I don't think Batel's coming out of this. I think she might last to the end of the episode, but like they hatch and she's still alive, but they can't save her or something. It's going to be something emotional because Pike's going to lose her. And then Pike's going to go the rest of his days before he ends up as the Pike we know. missing her and thinking about her. And then you get the situation later on when the original series comes out with the menagerie and the cage and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I just think it'll be interesting to see it because Scotty and Palia are going to be able to get that device working. They're going to get that device to work, and they're going to be able to make the Enterprise. They're going to mask the Enterprise to make it look like a Gorn ship in some way. And that's how they're going to escape, to regroup and to go and to rescue the others, I think.
Or they all lived happily ever after.
Or a Q appears, snaps his fingers and undoes it, and no one remembers it.
The Gorn cease to exist.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except for that one on that planet. That looks all weird.
Yeah.
Kirk has to fight in hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's the last living Gorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It all makes
Carl's
sense.
like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, definitely. Thumbs up.
Yeah. All right. So the slideshow is up to episode 8 here, but I think we're gonna call it here. So great season, and we're really looking forward to season 3. But it could be quite a while before we get season 3, guys, because of the writers' strike, because of the actors' strike. It could be 2025. I mean, if they're able to resolve this, these disputes and the strike, it still could be 2025 before we see a season 3. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm really annoyed by this. I want them to settle this because, there's going to be a point where all of this is going to lead up to a big section of time where all these shows and movies are just delayed, and there's going to be a big dead zone of content.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of like the pandemic, but probably worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's already affecting the Marvel schedule now with like Phase 5 and 6. So
so
they've
for a
now
real
just
dry spell.
They just Dune 2 Part 2. I was looking forward to. They pushed that to 2024.
Yep.
A lot of movies are getting delayed. Like even movies that were coming out next year in the winter were getting delayed. Like the Lord of the Rings War for Rohirrim. That's getting delayed till 2025, I think.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
It's an animated film.
Oh, an animated one. Okay. Yeah, the big thing is that the actors cannot promote the movies. And the studios aren't going to want to release these big films without being able to promote them with their actors.
Yeah.
So like, the Marvels, for example, is one that they had to put. They're going to, what, is that still going to come out in, what is it supposed to come out? November?
It's November, yeah. It's like November 17th or something like that.
It was already pushed back to that date. And at this rate, I mean, they could end up cutting it close, and that could get delayed to next year.
I think it's going to get delayed if the strike's not done by the middle of September. What are we going to have over the next while?
For Star Trek, we will get Discovery, the final season of Discovery, because they finished that. So season 5 is the final season. And Jonathan Frakes, he was actually a part of that. And he said that he was actually surprised that it was basically a kind of an impulse decision to final, the Discovery series. With season 5, a lot of them were surprised, but we will get Discovery season 5, and that's early 2024.
Yeah,
and then after that, it's
I hope they feel, and I think it maybe seems obvious that this is the hit. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds is the show, and they've got it right. They figured out Star Trek for the modern era. Yeah. And Lower Decks sort of goes along with that as like a secondary accompanying thing in the animated space. So like, Discovery feels like they were trying to figure their stuff out, and even Picard as well. They're like, we're doing this thing that's got nostalgia, and we're trying to do that. But those are
building
done.
off the Picard name. That's all we got for this show.
Yeah, so but now the petitions are out for Star Trek Legacy, which is supposedly the continuation of Picard season 3 with Seven, as captain of the Enterprise G.
I say hell no, but
yeah.
Didn't they say that the Academy show is happening, but then they said it's going to be in some weird timeline?
Yeah, but that's been put off, and then you had Prodigy, which was dumped by Paramount Plus, and but season 2 is basically finished, and they're just looking for another suitor now, another streaming service to put it on. And there's a big following for Prodigy, actually. So, Kate Mulgrew, of course, is Janeway. She's in it. Chakotay is in it as well. So,
I do wonder what they're going to take, what lessons they're going to learn, and what will be the next big Star Trek show after this. Like, is it going to want to greenlight another one? And
I think it's going to be Legacy. It'll be the, because, Seven, she's, everybody likes Seven, and she'll be the captain. You got Picard's son, who's going to be, dealing with Q. They'll bring John Delancey back, and, you've got the LaForges, at least Sydney LaForge, she's on the ship. So, they can go in many directions with that. If they make the show like Strange New Worlds and have each episode focus on a particular character on the ship, it might be really good. We shall see. But,
and I feel like this show points out that like there's an era of Star Trek that people love, and you have to capture that. And if you're not doing that, you're gonna struggle. You're doing something wrong. It's not like you have to always do that, but like maybe make a new show that's closer to, Deep Space Nine, like maybe that timeline, like after that show, and continue the main timeline of Star Trek instead of like we're off in some weird future, or we're in the way past,
Lower
Deck, the golden year.
Lower Decks is kind of like that, though. I mean, it's after the Dominion War,
right? So, it's in the right timeline that I love, that I want to see. I mean, I don't know, like Legacy could be that. I mean, because it's right after Picard, it's like the beginning of the 25th century, 2402 or 2401 or something like that. So it could work. It is in that problem of like we're referencing even Deep Space Nine stuff as like the way distant past now. All that feels really, really old, and like
30 years ago. In a sense,
it feels a bit too old, right? In that era already. Like I want to be able to reference some of that stuff in the timeline of the show to feel a bit more current.
Yep. Well, okay, so that's going to do it for this episode of Warp Factor 10, our show about all things Star Trek here on the Arena Productions, and our review of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2. So we want to thank you all for watching our content and supporting us here on the Arena Productions. And we're looking forward to Strange New Worlds Season 3 whenever we get that, as well as all the other Star Trek content. So anyway, I've been your host, Expat, along with my co-hosts, Burley and Carl. Take care, everyone. Live long and prosper. And we hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out.